I happened to reach out to you last week, which ended up being really perfect timing to
Yes,
talk to you because you're at a very interesting time in your life.
I am.
So at the
And you
time
got
of
the
this,
exclusive interview, I feel like. I mean,
I know, feels
well,
so
I
exclusive.
I exclusively gave it to Entertainment Tonight.
Hmm.
So they were like, we wanted the exclusive, but you're doing the first podcast since the baby
Yay!
announcement.
Yay!
So
Oh my God, I could not be happier for you.
thank
What, like, this is just so great. Tell me just like how you're feeling. I have like 45 million different questions because as like a mom and like newer into this world, I'm so fascinated by it. I love it. It's just such a cool time in our lives. So, how do you feel?
Oh, I feel great. We're in the second trimester. The first trimester was pretty rough. Um, but I've been dreaming, like me and my husband have wanted to have a family for almost 2 years. And
Mhm.
I've been very open and public about our journey and my IVF journey, my miscarriage. And I just feel like everything happens for a reason. Like it was meant to because we just got such amazing results we did IVF, and I was so blessed to have an amazing doctor for that. And we did an embryo transfer and we got pregnant, and it was just like the stars were aligned, the timing was right, like everything just was like perfect. And I've dreamed of motherhood, so now going into it and being on this journey, definitely, like I said, the first trimester was rough. The morning sickness was really I mean, I didn't leave my house, I feel like, for like a month and a half. I was just
Mhm.
like, I just need to chill. Like I haven't worked out. I was like, my doctor was like, you're not working out, like just chill. I was like,
Yep,
okay.
let your body
Which
make a baby.
Yeah, which for me is really hard. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know about you, Renee. I feel like you're the same. Like, you just can't be sitting for a lot. Like, you're like, what am I doing? Like, I need to be doing something.
It's hard. It's really hard, especially like it took me a long time to get pregnant as well. And it's funny, like, I want to actually get into all of the IVF stuff with you because I think just the more we can all be educated on that, the better. Because I was just about to start doing IVF, had all the
Really?
medication, it was in the fridge, did all the appointments, and it's like a whole rigmarole that the
Yeah.
doctors put you through where it's like they're checking your ovaries or checking your uterus or doing like the dye testing of your fallopian tubes, like
Hmm.
all of these crazy things that they put you through, to then go, like, for me it felt a little bit scary where they were like, yeah, you guys are going to have to do IVF, which I was like, hey, whatever we got to do, let's do it, let's just start the process.
Totally.
Anyways, we had all the medication in our fridge and then I got pregnant that month,
See,
and it
I
was
feel like
like,
I hear about that all the time too, that women are about to start the cycle and they get pregnant. And it's just like, that's so amazing. I was secretly hoping that that would happen. I was like putting that
sure,
out there,
sure,
you know,
sure. um
but it's a process
But
for
it's
sure.
really hard. No, I know what you mean of just like being busy and wanting to do stuff. Like I felt pretty good during the majority of my pregnancy. So I was still like feeling pretty active, but there are days that it just like, oh, it takes you out at the knees. You're just not used to feeling that level of exhaustion. Like your body is making a person.
I know. I know. It's wild. It's wild.
Oh my
You
gosh.
have to
Okay.
remind yourself sometimes of
I
that too.
know.
When you're like, oh, I need to do this. No, it's like, no, I'm growing a human. Let me just chill and like
It's
relax.
funny too. I find like in your head, because like I'm sure you're like on all the apps, they're like, it's like the size of a poppy seed, and now it's a sesame
Oh,
seed, and now it's this, and da 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 da, which is like such an exciting time. Like I love waking up and opening my phone to be like, what size are we at today? But
yeah,
when it's teeny, teeny, tiny, you're like, okay, well, I still feel like I should be able to do stuff, but like that's really the most important time.
exactly. Exactly. And I didn't have morning sick. I was night sickness. So
Oh,
it was like every time I tried to lay down to go to bed, I was running to the toilet and I was like, this is miserable. Like, I feel like morning sickness, I would have been so much more happier with. Like, at least I'm waking up. At least, I'm trying to sleep and I can't sleep. And that's like the worst, right? So that's when you need to be sleeping. That's when you need to like be getting all that rest
so
and.
talk to me about getting the positive test. So when you're working with doctors and you're doing the IVF and all that, are you getting the pregnancy test results with them? Are they monitoring every little thing, or do you have everything at home with you?
So number one, my freaking fertility doctor is a godsend. Her name is Dr. Amy, and her nickname is the Egg Whisperer, and she really is the Egg Whisperer, let me tell you. I mean, I've been working with her for almost a year, and we tried a few different things before IVF. And
What did you guys do before? What were some of the things that
we
you
did
guys did before?
IUI,
Okay.
like 3 IUIs, which is like basically like a turkey baster, and they just like stick this, you know, and
let's take it
hope
for
that
a
it goes up
spin.
there, right? I mean, it rarely happens, but it's like that's what you need to do to try to say that you've tried everything before you went to IVF. So we were like,
Sure.
okay, do that. We didn't work. Obviously, it was fine. But we got amazing results with IVF. We got 5 girls and 4 boys, which is amazing.
Oh my gosh. Did you make,
like,
so you did all embryos with all of them?
yes, yes.
Okay.
And we started out with 20, and then after like the testing, after the genetic testing, it goes through a bunch of processes, and we got it down to 9, which is like amazing.
Yeah.
And we got so lucky that I won't have to do it again,
Yes.
because
Yes.
I've heard of women having to go through it multiple times, and I can't even imagine having to do it more than once. Like, it's just,
Okay.
I mean, it's rough, it's just like a rough, every day you're shooting yourself. You're doing blood work for 10 to 12 days. Then you go in and they do the surgery. And after, because they basically are like poking at your ovaries and like pulling this out. And like, you are just the size of a whale by the time, because you have just been fucked with. Like, they just
Yeah.
pull your
Yeah.
insides apart basically to get these eggs out. And the recovery was the hardest for me. Like, the bed rest was really hard. I was in a lot of pain for like a good week or two. I couldn't work out. I couldn't do anything. And then you're just waiting to hear the results too, right? So you
Yes.
don't
Which is the
know.
hardest thing in the whole
Oh my
world. You're
God.
like,
Yeah.
I remember like, because I'm still like, I would love to have a second baby. So I feel like I'm like in the trenches right now, kind of going through it again. And it's like
Yeah.
every time you hit that window, you're like, is there some way I can find out like a little bit earlier? Like, what is the earliest I can find out? I want to know
Totally.
everything. It's so
Oh, it's
hard.
just the waiting is the hardest part. And that's the hardest part about, I would say, fertility is like the waiting.
I know.
Like, it is not an immediate thing. It is not like from start to finish. It has been 2 years for us, basically, that we've been, dealing with this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just like a waiting game, and you just have to be patient. You just have to know, like, it's going to happen. Just have to have faith and like take it a day at a time.
It's so hard. Like, it's funny after having Nora, and like I said, like we kind of, it had been at least a year, I would say, of like trying, having the ovulation kits and trying to track everything at home, and nothing's happening. And, I went to a fertility clinic in Las Vegas when we were out there. Just because I was like, well, if something's wrong, I would like to find out now just so I can get ahead of it rather than waiting another 6 months. Like, I'd rather get on it. But yeah, it's just like, it's all just such a waiting game. There's so many different things to it. And it's hard, but then
And the
having a
worst part
baby.
is like when you're ovulating too, and like you're only doing like 2 days out of 30 days,
And it's
and
all
then
like this
what if
crazy
you're fighting?
thing.
Like, there's many times I was fighting with my husband, and I was like, I don't
Don't
care. We
touch
have to do this. Suck it up. Like, just go. Okay. He's like, this is so unattractive.
It's weird because it really is, you like when you have to like, you have like your science kit out at home, and you're like trying to do the math, and it's like, okay, well, do you like, you're waiting for your ovulation to happen, and then like you've got like a 24-hour window, and it's like if John was traveling or whatever, and you
Yes.
really try not to suck the fun out of the room, but it's also like, this is business. We need to get down to brass tacks here.
Basically, yeah. It's just like, it's transactional right now. Sorry. It will not always be like this. Like, I married you, you're gonna get this forever, but
Yeah.
now
But
we're
right
on a
now we
mission.
do have an objective.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's such a crazy process. And it's funny because I mean, there's so many, I've got friends that like, they look at their husband and they get pregnant. And
I know.
it's just like that's just not the case for me, and that wasn't the case for you. And I think just being able to like to talk about this stuff and how it all works, because even like with IVF, I think for people that haven't been through it or don't know how it works, it's like, yeah, like it's so much work. Like you're doing how many needles did you have to do?
Well, even after, so we did the IVF, and that's like, I think you're doing, my doctor was able to do it in one. She put one, and so only one syringe a day, which was great.
Okay.
But then after we did the transfer, I was having to, well, my husband was, every night there's a thing called Lovenox, and it's like a blood thinner, and you're supposed to shoot that in your stomach. So I shot that for 10 weeks into the pregnancy every day. I had to shoot,
Wow.
yeah. So that was rough. But you got used to it. But I had bruises all over my belly. Like the first trimester, I was like trying to take pictures of my belly, and they're just like bruises. My friends are like, "What is happening to these shots?" Like, but it was
All
not a
part of the
glamorous
process.
first
No,
first trimester.
it's not.
But we got through it, and now we're great. Everything's going great. So
Yay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So tell me just about getting that, like the positive test after going through it and
yeah.
seeing so many negatives and knowing what that feeling's like. Cause God, does that ever get exhausting and upsetting? So for you to finally see that positive, talk to me about that.
Well, like again, the wait. So it's a 2-week wait after you do the transfer. And you're just like trying your hardest just to like stay busy or occupied and just like try not to think about it. And my doctor was like, the best way to do it is blood tests. So she's like, go take your blood. And she was like, I want to call you with the results. Like, I want to FaceTime you. She literally has turned into like a second mother. Like, she's just amazing. So it took everything in me too not to take a test, and like, you know because you could see, and you can see a faint line, but I was so scared. I was like, I'm waiting, I'm gonna wait for these results. And I just remember I went in for blood that day, and I was just texting her every hour, did you get the results, did you get the results? She's like, no, no. So as soon as she called me, I knew it was positive, because I feel like she would have texted if it was negative, like, I have some bad news.
Right.
Like, I feel like she would have. So as soon as she called me, I picked up. She's like, "You're pregnant."
Oh, that
And
just gave me
it
goosebumps.
was like the most amazing. Like, I can't even describe it. I was like crying. I was just like, my husband was so excited. Like, we were just like, oh my gosh, it's finally happening.